Welcome to Balance Black Girl. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Les. I'm your host, and I appreciate you joining me for Solo Episode Summer. So, I started this show almost 6 years ago, and over the years, I've done a mix of solo episodes, and I've done so many incredible interviews with the best guests ever, if I must say so myself. But a piece of feedback that I got constantly was, "Hey, Les, I like the interviews, but I love the solos. Can you do more solos?" So this summer, I am bringing you all solo episodes. If you haven't listened to the past few episodes, make sure you do. I've covered some really great topics like navigating your summer glow up, decentering men, starting over in your 30s, as well as how to use archetype embodiment to get whatever you want out of life. But today I wanted to take it back to our wellnessy roots, and I wanted to talk a bit more about self-care. Now, I have to say, today's episode is a little different because I'm coming at you from my apartment instead of the studio. I wanted to keep it a little more intimate, a little more cozy, a little more low key, but we're perhaps a little too cozy because it is hot AF in New York City right now, and I can't have my AC on when I'm recording because it's loud. So bear with me. If you see me glisten on the YouTube version, it's because it's hot. It's hot in here, but I am dedicated to bringing you the content anyways. So, a fun announcement before we get into today's episode is that I am now on Substack. I have moved my weekly newsletter that used to go out every Wednesday over to Substack, where I have created a newsletter called Balance with Less. Right now, I'm starting off by just sending out a Sunday Wellness Inspo newsletter. So, every Sunday, I'm sending you a little note from me. I'm linking the recipes that I'm trying that week. I'm describing the workouts that I'm doing that week. I'm sharing my favorites. I'm talking about the books that I'm reading. It's a really good time over there. I don't know why it's taken me so long to get on Substack. So if you need some weekly wellness inspo, make sure you subscribe to my Substack. I have linked it in the show notes. And then I also send out reminders every time we have a new episode. So when you subscribe to the Substack, you're getting even more wellness content from me, and you're getting new episodes as soon as they drop straight to your inbox. So back to today's episode. I wanted to do an episode talking about self-care, but I wanted to share just some of the tips and tricks that I have learned and gained over the years that I don't think we talk about all the time. There's a lot of self-care content out there that is the same old, same old. Like, yes, going on a walk helps your self-care. Yes, journaling is great for self-care, but what else do we have in the arsenal? And I realize that there's so many things that I do each day that are maybe a little bit quirky or a little bit weird, or things that I don't necessarily see other people doing or talking about all the time, that have made such a big difference in how I feel. And I was like, let me take this to the podcast. Let me put the girlies on to maybe some of those unexpected self-care habits that have really helped me up level in my life. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I have broken this up into 3 different categories. 1, we have wellness routines. 2, we have more beauty and other wellness habits that are outside of your routines. And then lastly, we have productivity and focus. So I'm going to be breaking down the tips into those 3 categories. So here are some self-care tips and tricks that you may not hear everywhere else. First, let's get into routines. Now, when we hear the word routine, many of us immediately think about morning routines. And morning routines are super important. They set the tone for the rest of your day. Many of our morning routines often involve wellness. And I'm not necessarily going to tell you how to create a morning routine, because I think that's something that a lot of us have either done by now or we've heard about enough. But something that we don't talk about is how hard it can be to get out of bed, and little things that you can do to set yourself up for success so that when your alarm goes off in the morning, you don't hit snooze, you actually get up and you seize the day and you start doing those things that are really good for you. And the number one thing that I have noticed made a huge difference in my ability to get up in the morning and to get my routine started is the state of my space. So I noticed a pattern with myself that anytime I would snooze or feel restless or feel anxious getting out of bed, it was usually when my room, or when my space — I now live in a studio apartment, so the whole thing is kind of my room — when my space is a mess, I don't want to get out of bed in the morning. And I noticed that when my room was clean, it was way easier for me to get out of bed. And part of that is because clutter and mess has a really negative impact on our mental health. Whenever we're around cluttered spaces or we just see lots of stuff, it feels like more things that we need to attend to. And I found myself staying in bed longer because I just wanted to avoid looking at it. I didn't want to start my day being surrounded by stuff and being surrounded by mess. And anytime my space was clean, it was always so much easier for me to get up and get out of bed in the morning. And so, something that I started implementing that has made a huge difference is at night, I will spend about 10 to 15 minutes, not a ton of time, just tidying up my apartment. So that could be putting laundry away. That could be, putting away the little clutter that's accumulated on my desk, or clearing out the sink with dishes, or wiping up my bathroom counter, because I notice that my bathroom counter and my bathroom sink always get so dirty easily. Anytime I do my skincare, anytime I do my makeup. So I just literally spend 10 minutes doing a little closing shift, a little quick tidy around the apartment, and it helps me get up and attack the day so much better. Now, obviously, the number one thing that really impacts our ability to wake up in the morning is how much sleep we get. Nothing can substitute getting enough sleep and actually feeling rested. But the quick number two is having a clean and tidy space. And we talk a lot about having a clean and tidy space and how much clarity that gives you, but it really does make a huge difference in your morning routine. When you can wake up and you can immediately feel calm about your space and you can get into your journaling, you can throw your workout clothes on and go straight to the gym, and you're not automatically overwhelmed by stuff, or you feel like you wake up and your to-do list is just all around you because you see everything that you need to attend to. It makes your morning routine so much smoother. So I challenge you, if you're having a hard time getting up and sticking to your morning routine, try the 10-minute tidy at night and let me know how it goes, and let me know how much it helps your mornings, because I bet it will. So, next, I want to talk about ways that you can upgrade your night routine. You probably have an alarm clock that wakes you up or reminds you to get up in the morning. Most of us do. Most of us are not, at a point where we can just wake up naturally. And if you are, I love that so much for you. Most of us have an alarm to remind us to get up in the morning, but an alarm to remind you to start winding down at night is also a game changer, because without it, I found myself just staying up all hours of the night, reading and going on TikTok and doing random stuff. But having an alarm at night to remind me to wind down really sets off an important cue in my brain that helps me start signaling, okay, it's time to start winding down. So usually when that night alarm goes off, that is when I will start tidying my apartment. That is when I will go to the bathroom and take a shower and start getting ready for bed. And that night alarm is just a reminder to do so. So I personally use a Hatch alarm clock to both wake up in the morning, and I use it as my night alarm. And I have a little routine set up so that it starts playing jazz and starts lighting up around 9 p.m. And that is my cue to tidy up my apartment and start getting ready for bed. I love the Hatch. I'll link it in the show notes if you want to check it out. But even if you don't want to get something like a Hatch or a specific alarm for it, you could just use your phone. You can use your Alexa. You can set a timer to say, hey, go off at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or whatever, just to remind you to start winding down. Because if you don't have that reminder to start winding down, that is when it's very easy for the revenge bedtime procrastination to kick in. And you can just totally lose track of time at night and be doing Lord knows what until the wee hours of the night, which then is going to impact your ability to get up and handle your business in the morning. So try setting a night alarm and let me know how much that helps. Now, also speaking of night routines, if you follow me on social media, you have probably heard me talk about this, and that is my love for the salt lamp nightlight. The salt lamp nightlight is basically this mini salt rock lamp that I have in my bathroom. It plugs directly into the outlet. It's about this big. And I always have that on when I'm doing my night routine. And I like to have that on when I'm doing my night routine so that I don't turn on the harsh light in my bathroom, because my bathroom has terrible lighting. It's fluorescent, it's very yellow, it's very bright. And I find that when I turn on the big light in my bathroom, it kind of hypes me up because it's so bright. It makes me want to be awake and alert. But at night, when I'm trying to wind down, I don't need to be awake and alert. I need to start winding down. So I started using the salt lamp night light. I literally got one way back in the day. I think in 2020, like during COVID. I just wanted to make my apartment feel nicer and cozier because I wasn't going anywhere. And I've sworn by it ever since. So I have this little night light. I use that as my sole bathroom light when I'm getting ready for bed. And I'll have it on when I'm brushing my teeth, when I'm doing my skincare, when I'm taking my shower. And it takes my little New York City bathroom and turns it into a literal spa. Don't let me also light a candle, and don't let me also start playing some slow jams while I'm doing all of this, because then it's a whole vibe and it elevates your night routine so much. And I find that I don't procrastinate doing those tasks like I used to, because it creates an environment in my bathroom that I'm really looking forward to. The dim light is a lot more soothing, it's more relaxing, it's not as harsh, so it doesn't wake me up the way the bright light does. And it really signals to my brain, hey, it's time to wind down. Having a salt lamp nightlight is truly a game changer. I used to have one years ago that I got at like TJ Maxx for $5, and it was great. I ended up getting a new one when I moved because I lost my old one. You can also find them on Amazon. I'll link it in my storefront. I'll also put a link to that in the show notes. I think I want to get another one for the actual like bedroom part of my apartment too, because I feel like it would just be really nice to have while I read. But it is such a big game changer for the bathroom. I'm telling you, it was so inexpensive and it's made such a big difference in how I feel and my ability to wind down and to relax at night. So don't underestimate the power of light and having dim, soothing light when you're trying to relax. It can make such a big difference. Now, also, speaking of routines, I want to talk more about workout routines. And I think that if you are someone who is at the beginning of your fitness journey, or you are not as educated in fitness, you're still kind of learning about it, fitness can feel really complicated. It can feel like, okay, I'm supposed to get all these steps in, and I'm supposed to stretch, and I'm supposed to lift weights, but I don't know how to do that. And I don't know how often. And a method that has worked for me for years and has really been the cornerstone of my fitness routine for a long time. This episode is brought to you by No CD. All of a sudden, it hits you, a thought so disturbing or embarrassing that it shakes you to your core. It contradicts your values, and you start to worry, why did I think that? But telling someone else feels mortifying. Here's the thing about those taboo thoughts. They're more common than you think. In fact, almost everyone has them. But for people with obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, they tend to feel sticky and cause a lot of distress. OCD can feel so debilitating because the thoughts feel so real. And since few people understand what OCD is really like, it can feel like you have nowhere to turn. At No CD, every therapist is an OCD therapist, so they understand intrusive thoughts. Using exposure and response prevention therapy, also known as ERP, the most proven OCD treatment, they'll help you take the power away from OCD in live, face-to-face video therapy sessions. For Black women, OCD can present differently, focusing on things like our hair or religious beliefs. No CD therapists know how to identify and treat these different symptoms, and they can understand these experiences because they receive cultural competency training. They know each person's experience with OCD can be shaped by different things and will create a personalized treatment plan based on your needs. No CD accepts many major insurance plans and offers 24/7 support between sessions. To learn more about therapy with No CD, go to nocd.com and schedule a free 15-minute call with their team. That's nocd.com to learn more and book a free 15-minute call. Most of us are looking for clothes that are at the intersection of cute and comfortable, especially when we're active. That's why you gotta check out Rhoback. The best way to describe Rhoback is best fit, best feel. They have a new women's line, and every piece is so comfortable. They've become my go-to while I'm on the move because I can look cute and feel more comfy than ever. Their Steffi skirts are perfect for when I'm on the go. I love how functional they are. They actually have liners with grippers so they don't ride up, and they have hidden pockets in the liners, which is helpful for days where you're doing a lot of walking and you have stuff that you need to take with you. Their active dress is also a staple part of my wardrobe. I love wearing it for walks, workouts, or even to dress up with a blazer when I'm heading to brunch. It's made with their signature GTG technology, which allows you to keep your dress on when you're on the go and you've got to go. So basically, that means that they're shorts under the dress that easily detach for quick and easy bathroom breaks. The fabric is lightweight, breathable, and super comfortable, and it's so cute while being functional at the same time. I also love Roback's Swift crew necks and tempo hoodies. They're so soft and cozy, and I like to wear them around the house or while running errands. They pair well with shorts, skirts, and they layer well over the dress as well. If you haven't already, it's now time to try out some Roback. Use the code BALANCED on roback.com for a generous 20% off your first order through the end of this week. That's spelled RHOBACK for 20% off all shorts, tanks, dresses, hoodies, and more with the code BALANCED. Stay comfortable with Roback. On busy summer days when you're traveling and you feel like you have a million things to do, working out can feel like it's at the bottom of your to-do list. That is why I love Alo Moves, because it makes movement easy and convenient wherever you are. From beginner to advanced, Alo Moves has the flow or class that will fit your schedule. Their classes range from 5 minutes to an hour depending on what I'm feeling that day, and it seriously has everything. There's yoga, Pilates, strength workouts, meditation, sound baths, nutrition tips, self-care tutorials, and so much more. It's really easy to see why Alo Moves is an award-winning app. Whether you want to start a guided program, try a new style of workout, or just stay on track with your wellness goals while you're on the go, Alo Moves has it all. And with over 100 new classes every month, Alo Moves keeps me hooked and motivated because there's always something new to try. It's like a constant stream of fresh vibes for my wellness journey. Sometimes studio classes or gym time just doesn't fit my schedule, and I love being able to roll out my mat and get a great workout in with Alo Moves no matter where I am. I personally love the yoga, Pilates, and bar classes on Alo Moves. They're truly some of my favorite ways to stay active. Stay on top of your wellness routine no matter where you go. Sign up for Alo Moves today. Join at alomoves.com and use the code BALANCE30 for an exclusive 30-day free trial. Plus, enjoy 20% off an annual membership. That's alomoves.com, code BALANCE30 for a 30-day free trial and 20% off an annual membership. alomoves.com, code BALANCED30 is something I call the 3-2-1 method. So the 3-2-1 method is the structure that I follow for my workouts every single week. And I will switch it up with the types of workouts or with the intensity based on how I'm feeling. But this method of organizing your workouts just make it super easy for you to stick to the routine. So 3-2-1 method means 3 days of strength training, 2 days of some form of stretching and mobility, and then one intentional walk per day. And most days I am aiming to get 10,000 steps in. That could also be one intentional form of cardio per day if you prefer to do something different. Maybe you like to bike ride, maybe you like to run, maybe you like to do something a little bit more intense to get your heart rate up, depending on what your personal goals are. But if you think 3-2-1, that's going to make it super, super simple. So 3 days a week, I will usually go to the gym and lift weights. 2 days a week, I will alternate between Pilates and yoga. Although these days I've been feeling Pilates a lot more than yoga. I haven't really been doing much yoga, and I probably should incorporate a little more yoga into the fold, but I've just been really, really liking Pilates and the results that I'm getting from Pilates. And then I try to go on one intentional walk per day, getting up to 10,000 steps. I don't get necessarily 10,000 steps in from that one walk because I don't have time to just, only walk 10,000 steps in one false swoop each day. But throughout the day, I get in plenty of steps. And then if I spend one intentional, 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the day, just straight walking, then I find that that helps. I've been doing this for a long time. And since implementing this, I've gotten in such better shape. It's really helped me stick with my workouts and be super consistent. And then I'll also slot in different workout classes still fitting this method. So I've been trying a few different strength training gyms here in New York City. And so I will do that as one of my 3 strength training workouts each week, as opposed to when I just go to the gym and lift on my own. Or I will try reformer Pilates one week and I'll use that for one of my Pilates classes. Or last week, I actually tried a hot Pilates class. If you have not tried hot Pilates, it is a vibe. I really liked it and I want to incorporate it into my routine more. It's you go to a studio and it is kind of like a hot yoga room, but then you do mat Pilates and it was such a great workout. So I ended up finding that class on ClassPass and I booked it. And that was one of my, Pilates / mobility workouts that week. Or the other week, I was feeling really sore and just really tight and stiff. And so I booked an appointment at a mobility bar and I went and I got like a professional stretch and recovery session. So that I did that instead of like my yoga or Pilates. So you can be super flexible with it. You can adjust it to your schedule. You can adjust it to your needs. But remembering the 3-2-1 can make it super flexible and just make it really easy for you to adhere to. If you are interested in trying different workout classes, I'm a really big fan of ClassPass. I've been a ClassPass member for years. I do have a link in the show notes that you can use if you want to try ClassPass for 2 weeks free, and you can try different workout classes in your city. I love using ClassPass to switch up my workout routine, and so I will just plug in different classes to fit the 3-2-1 method. But that just makes your workout plan so much simpler when you're thinking about it like a puzzle that you can alternate the pieces to. Okay, and then last for routines, I want to talk about my reading routine. And maybe it's nerdy of me to have an actual reading routine, but I find that having a specific routine for when I set aside time to read things is what has helped me become a much better reader than I once was. So, usually, my reading routine is I will spend about 10 to 15 minutes reading nonfiction in the morning, and that is something educational. So, that could be something related to business or finance or personal development or mindset work or, a memoir. Anything that is not for entertainment but is truly for education works really well for me in the morning when I'm a little bit more alert and I find that I'm just more open to learning and to wanting to seek out new information. That works really well for me, and I will read that for about 10 to 15 minutes during my morning routine. And then at night, I really love reading fiction. So that is when I will read my thrillers, my fantasy novels, my romance novels at night, because before I go to bed, I don't want to learn anything. I'm not trying to learn. I'm trying to be entertained. I'm trying to get lost in a story. I'm trying to get some romance. I'm trying to get some love in my life, which these days only comes from my books. And so that's when I really do the bulk of my reading. And that's when I'm really digging into my romance novels. And I would say on an average night, I probably spend about 30 minutes reading fiction. And for me, it's almost like watching TV. I treat it like watching TV and getting lost in a book instead of getting lost in a show. But ever since I adopted this routine, and I've been doing this for a few years now, that is what has helped me read so much more and stay on top of my reading goals. So if you're having a hard time sticking with the books that you like, following a reading routine like that could help. Also, if you're somebody who really likes audiobooks, then doing that educational audio in the morning, maybe while you're going on your morning walk or while you're working out in the morning or while you're doing your morning routine, could be another really great way to get that reading in. So you can really adapt it to make it work for your schedule, for your life, for your brain. But I do find that our brains are more primed for learning in the morning and education at night. I think just because of school and the way work is set up, that's how so many of us are wired. So that can be a really helpful routine for you to follow if you want to do more reading. Okay, so we've talked about routines. Next, I want to get more into just wellness and beauty tips. So, the first one, if you notice that you tend to break out a lot around your mouth and around your chin, I want you to consider brushing your teeth before you do your skincare, because when we brush our teeth, we tend to get all sorts of stuff on our face. We get toothpaste on our face. If we're flossing, we get food and all sorts of stuff on our face that can be leading to breakouts. And if you wash your face first and then you get toothpaste on your face and you maybe just kind of like wipe it off, but don't thoroughly clean it off, that can cause you to break out. So something that has been really helpful for me, because I used to get so many bad breakouts on my chin, it was terrible, is I like to brush my teeth, floss, do all of that stuff, oil pull, do all of that first, and then do my skincare after that, so that I make sure I wash and get all of that stuff off of my face. it has made such a big difference in my skin. Just switching up the order of that helps me keep my skin a lot more clean, make sure that I don't, get any toothpaste and stuff on my face that makes me break out. And it makes such a big difference. So if you tend to break out around your mouth, try brushing your teeth before you wash your face and do your skincare. Speaking of skincare, and this is a skincare slash makeup tip, but I like to do my brows before applying my skincare. Now, hear me out. I have super coarse, like thick brows that are really hard to tame. So I have to use intense brow gel to keep them down. And I found that no brow gel could help my brows stay down if I was applying it after I did all my skincare. I noticed that when I had, my serums and my lotions and my sunscreen and my potions on my face, it almost made my face too moisturized for my brows to actually lay down and to stay in place. So now what I do is I will wash my face, I will dry my face, and then I will go in and I will gel my brows down. I like using the Anastasia Brow Freeze gel. I have used everything on the market. I've used hair gel. I've used all the other ones. That is the only one that works for my coarse wild brows. I'll link it in the show notes so that you can check it out. It's so good. It's so worth it. I will do that while my skin is clean before I put any product on my face. I will let my brows dry down for 30 seconds to a minute. And then I will go in and I will do the rest of my skincare. So I'll do the serums and I'll do my moisturizer and I'll do my sunscreen and then I'll do the rest of my makeup routine. And I find that my brows turn out so much better and last way longer because before I was making the mistake of trying to do my brows after I would do all of that. And then I would have, tinted sunscreen on and tinted moisturizer and foundation. My brows were just not staying and it would make the brow gel kind of goopy and it was turning the color of, whatever foundation and stuff I had on. It just was a mess. So doing your brows and gelling your brows down when you have super clean skin before you add any sort of skincare to your face is a game changer and has made my brows look so much better. If anyone's been following me on TikTok for a while, maybe you were around last year when I almost got bullied off of TikTok because my eyebrows looked bad. Some would call it brow blindness. We're not going to get into that, but I will say nobody has talked bad about my brows since I started doing this method of gelling them down before applying skincare. Now, if you're wearing a protective style this summer, like me, now don't come for me because these braids, if you're watching on YouTube, they're past their prime. This is my 6th week with these braids, so I'm actually taking them out this week that I'm recording this. They will be out by the time this episode comes out. So don't talk bad about me with my braids being a little fuzzy. I got my money's worth. But if you have braids this summer, you probably realize that our braids, especially at the end, can just get kind of dirty and kind of gross. Like we're all around town, especially in New York. I'm on the subway and my braids are just touching everything. So I have been spraying them a few times a week with antibacterial spray. I just use straight up like Clorox mist and I spray the synthetic hair just to fight germs and bacteria. And I think that that's really, really good to do in between washes, just so that your braids stay clean and sanitary. Now, for most of us, we have, a bonnet or a scarf on while we sleep. So we're not necessarily putting dirty outside braids on our pillow, but I still just don't want dirty outside braids touching my stuff. I don't want them touching my skin. That can also lead to breakouts if you are more acne prone on your body. If your braids are dirty and then you're wearing something backless and it's touching your back, that is where acne can come. So I just use my little Clorox disinfecting mist spray and I spray it on my braids a few times throughout the week in between washes just to keep my braids more clean and sanitary, because I especially find that if you have synthetic hair in your style, because listen, I love it for you girlies that can afford the good human hair. Babes, only human hair I can afford is the kind that's already grown out of my head. I gotta stick with the synthetic hair because that's within my budget. But I do find that synthetic hair just picks up dirt more. It's just is dirtier. So we have to be extra careful keeping it clean. So if you are also have braids or if you also have a protective style this summer, definitely recommend taking just some antibacterial spray to your braids throughout the week. I know a lot of the girlies really love kind of that Tower 28 spray. I've never used it. Actually, I do want to try it. I've also seen a lot of Amazon dupes for it as well. Maybe that's kind of a safer option than like the cleaning. I just do the cleaning spray. So maybe I'll try that as like another antibacterial option. But I do think it's good to have some sort of antibacterial disinfectant, situation on the braids, just because they can get a little dirty just from being outside and the elements. So if you're not doing something to kind of clean and disinfect your braids throughout the weeks in between washes, I highly, highly recommend that. Okay, the next one is going to be a little bit more of a niche recommendation. I don't want y'all to get overwhelmed when I say this because it's going to sound perhaps a little complicated. I want you to just walk with me here. If you have bad cramps when you're on your period, I want you to revise your caffeine intake leading up to your period. So if you're consuming a lot of caffeine during your luteal phase, which is usually the period of time, maybe the 10 to 14 days before your period, depending on your specific cycle, it could be doing you more harm than good when it comes to cramps. I like to cycle my caffeine intake to match my cycle. So the way I do this, because I am crazy and I don't mind my life being a little more complicated when it comes to caffeine because I do really love coffee. I will drink just regular coffee for the first like 2 weeks of my cycle. So when I'm in my follicular phase through ovulation, I can drink, a cup of regular coffee a day, maybe throw, a little afternoon matcha in there here and there. I do really love my green tea. I can do that, although I find green tea isn't as aggressive. But I will do my coffee per usual, regular coffee, when I'm in my follicular and ovulatory phases and feel fine. And even at the beginning of my luteal phase, I can still do some regular coffee. But then once I start getting more into my luteal phase, that is when I start tapering it down. So once I'm like a couple days into my luteal phase, I will taper it down to half calf just so that I don't go fully cold turkey without the caffeine. That can also be a little bit jarring. So, for that next chunk of my cycle, from, a couple days after I ovulate to about 3 to 4 days before my period is going to start, I will drink half calf. And then when it's like 3 to 4 days before my period starts, through like the second day of my period, because the first 2 days of my period, usually when I tend to be a little bit more cramp prone, I will drink decaf on those days. And then usually after the second day of my period, I'm kind of out of the woods with cramping and I can go back to caffeine. But you can kind of make this work however it works for you. That is what I like to do because I'm super in tune with my body. I keep very close track of my cycle. I always know exactly where I'm at in my cycle at any given moment, even if you don't track it as closely as I do, or you don't want to have, half cap, decaf, all these different things. Just aim to reduce or eliminate your caffeine intake beginning the week before your period. It can be a little bit tough because hormonally, that is when a lot of us are more tired anyway. But it's really, really important to do to help with cramps. And I've noticed that ever since I started weaning down my caffeine intake leading up to my periods are so much easier and my cramps are way less than they used to be. And the reason this happens is because essentially caffeine can constrict your blood vessels. And so when you're getting close to your period, and it's constricting those blood vessels, your cramps are going to be more intense. During that time, you want to do things that are going to help your blood vessels relax. Caffeine can also block a hormone that controls blood flow to the uterus. And so you want to avoid it a few days leading up to your period and maybe the first few days of your period if that is when you tend to cramp. Like I said, I'm a little bit crazy and I like to cycle my caffeine intake, doing regular to half calf to decaf throughout my cycle. I usually make all my own coffee at home using my Nespresso. And so I literally will buy 3 different types of pods. I have regular pods, full strength, I buy half calf pods, and I buy decaf pods. And if it's helpful, I can link in the show notes, the pods and everything that I use so that you can check it out if you want to try this too. And then throughout my cycle, I will kind of monitor my caffeine intake based on where I am. Again, if that is too complicated for you, you don't have to worry about phasing down to the half caff and the decaf or whatever. I would just avoid caffeine for the few days leading up to your period and see how you feel. And yes, you probably will be more tired because we naturally all are tired during that time. Give yourself a little more rest. Ease up on your workouts. Don't push it too hard. Let your body get the rest that it needs. And you'll probably notice that your cramps are not as bad. It's normal to notice changes in your skin as you get older, and I've learned that that is because of collagen. Did you know that after the age of 21, you start losing 1% of your collagen every year? So maintaining healthy collagen is crucial for having healthy skin. Collagen is important because it gives natural support and firmness to the skin on your face. So we want all the help we can get maintaining our collagen. BioSil helps you generate your own collagen and protect the collagen you already have. Backed by over 30 years of research, BioSil is clinically proven to work for healthier hair, skin, and nails. It's been shown to increase skin elasticity by 89% and decrease the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles by 30%. Since starting it, I've noticed such an improvement in the health and appearance of my skin. I also appreciate how easy the capsules are to take. You just take one capsule twice a day, one in the morning and one before bed. BioSil is also vegan. It doesn't contain any collagen from animals and is GMO-free and is safe for those who are pregnant or breastfeeding. You can find BioSil online or at your local retailer, but we're offering a special discount code exclusively for our listeners on their website. Get 30% off your first order on BioSil's website with the code BALANCEDLESS. Again, that's code BALANCEDLESS for 30% off your first order or subscription exclusively on biosil.beauty. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases. Having a Thrive Market membership has been key to maintaining my healthy habits. I've been a paying Thrive Market member since 2017 because it makes shopping for my favorite products easy and affordable. Thrive Market is my go-to for all my grocery and household essentials, and the convenience of ordering everything on their website or their app and getting it all delivered to my doorstep is such a huge time saver and stress reliever. In my last order, I stocked my pantry with snack bars, meat sticks, condiments, my favorite pastas and sauces, so I have everything I need for healthy eating on a budget. I love that Thrive Market only allows trusted, top quality ingredients while restricting over 1,000 harmful ingredients like artificial flavors, high fructose corn syrup, and more. So whether you're looking for organic kid snacks, low sugar alternatives, or high protein essentials, you can curate your own shopping experience with just a few clicks and trust that you're getting quality products you can shop worry-free. I personally like to filter for high protein and low sugar options, so it makes it really easy to find those on their website. Not only do I save time shopping as a Thrive Market member, but I save so much money on every order. On average, I save over 30% of what I would pay at the grocery store each time. They even have a price match guarantee and a deals page that changes weekly. Since joining Thrive Market, I've saved hundreds on my favorite grocery and wellness items. And when you join Thrive Market, you're also helping a family in need with their 1-for-1 membership matching program. You join and they give. Save time and money and shop Thrive Market today. Go to thrivemarket.com/balanceless for 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/balanceless. thrivemarket.com/balanceless. In this economy, it is so important to make sure our money is working with us, not against us. And that means knowing where our money is going and limiting unnecessary spending. One thing that has gotten me into trouble is paying for subscriptions that I don't use. Over the years, it's so easy to pay for monthly subscription fees without realizing it. But over time, these can really add up. And that is why I love using Rocket Money to help me manage my budget. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. With Rocket Money, I have so much more control over my subscriptions and expenses. I can see all of my spending month over month, which helps me get a better idea of my spending habits and keeps me on track. I personally like to have weekly money dates with myself, so every Friday I'll sit down with a fun mocktail, I'll turn on my favorite music, and I'll open up Rocket Money to see what my spending has been like each week. It makes taking care of my money a lot easier and less stressful. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/balancedless. That's rocketmoney.com/balancedless. rocketmoney.com/balancedless. Okay, next, I want to talk about protein tips because I know so many of us are trying to get more protein in, and getting more protein in can feel so freaking hard, especially if you're trying to get, upwards of like 90, 100 grams of protein. It can feel like you're eating so much and it can physically feel so hard to do. So I found something that has really helped me is to try to front load as much of that protein at the beginning of my day as possible. So if I have around 40 to 50 grams of protein in the morning and I'm like halfway to that protein goal with my first meal of the day, I find that it makes hitting my protein goal for the rest of the day so much easier. And at breakfast, it is pretty easy to get those goals in, whether that's through, things like yogurt or protein powder or whatever. I do find that it's a little bit easier to get protein heavy options in the morning because a lot of the foods that we tend to gravitate to in the morning are pretty easy to make a higher protein version of. But I do find that if I don't eat much protein during the day and then I try to get all my protein in at night, it is really hard for me to physically eat that much protein late at night when my body is winding down. I may be a little bit less hungry. It also is just really heavy on my stomach, and then my body is trying to digest it and it's working really hard when I'm supposed to be trying to wind down and sleep. It's just a lot. And part of, what makes protein so good for us is that it does take quite a bit of energy for our bodies to digest it. So letting your body do that earlier at the day, in the beginning of the day, when you have more energy to do so, is super, super helpful. So I've been really aiming to get 40 to 50 grams of protein in at breakfast, and then it makes the rest of the day hitting my protein goals a breeze. So some ways that I've been doing this is a few different recipes I've been trying. I link them in my Substack. One that I'm really liking is this peanut butter and jelly yogurt bowl from Eating Bird Food, which is a wellness blog that has some really great recipes. It essentially is yogurt, cottage cheese, berries, and then kind of like a protein cereal on top. And the specific ingredients that I use for that when I calculated it, ends up being around 50 grams of protein. It's really easy to eat it. You don't feel like you're just eating like tons and tons of protein. It really just feels like you're eating a regular yogurt bowl, but is really, really good. So that's something that I've been liking. Or if I have been having smoothies, I've really liked doubling up on my protein powder. So the protein powder that I really like to use is from Clean Simple Eats. It's just is like a really great brand. It is dairy based. So it is a whey protein, but I found that it has been really easy for me to digest. It blends really well. It tastes really good. The vanilla is my favorite because it just goes so well with any smoothie and any recipe. One scoop of it has 20 grams, but I've actually found that I've been liking using 2 scoops so that my smoothies have around 40 grams. And I find that with that much protein, my smoothies have been keeping me really full for longer. Or if I do just 1 scoop of protein powder, maybe I'll add some Greek yogurt as well to kind of double up the protein that way. Because also doing 2 scoops of protein powder can get a little bit expensive at times. So you can substitute that second scoop of protein powder maybe with some yogurt in a smoothie if you're trying to add more protein, but you want to make that protein powder stretch a little bit longer. And then I also really love the Clean Simple Eats protein pancake mix is another really great one. And instead of preparing it with water, I like to prepare it with egg whites to add a little bit more protein into that. So I actually like having those in the morning as kind of a pre-workout meal because I've been lifting weights more. I've been lifting heavier. I don't really like to do that on an empty stomach. So I find that the Clean Simple Eats, when I do the protein pancake mix with egg whites, has around 20 grams of protein. And then if I follow that up, with like the yogurt bowl or something of that nature or a smoothie afterwards, then I can easily get in like 60 grams of protein between those two things in the morning. And then that makes hitting my protein goal for the rest of the day a breeze. So if you're looking for ways to get more protein into your diet, I would really look at how can you get more in the morning? What are some higher protein breakfast options? Or you can also just eat leftovers for breakfast, which I do all the time. A lot of breakfast foods and the idea of what we consider breakfast foods really is marketing. Our bodies can't really tell time. Our bodies just want food kind of any time of day. So you can also totally just have like leftovers. I do that all the time where I will eat leftover chicken or leftover turkey or whatever I had for dinner the night before. I will literally heat that up and eat it for breakfast to get protein in, and that works as well. But if you're having a hard time hitting your protein goals, definitely look at ways that you can get more protein in the morning, and that should make hitting your protein goal a lot easier. Okay, next I want to talk about how I approach meal planning. I will say this method probably works best for people who are just cooking for one or two people who don't mind repeating. It's probably going to be hard to do this if you're feeding little ones, or maybe you do this for yourself and you prepare other things for your little ones. I will say up front, I'm a child free person. So meal planning for children is not my forte. And I want to put that up front. So, this is how I approach meal planning with that in mind. I will pick one thing that I will have for breakfast all weeks, whether that is like the yogurt bowl that I'm doing or the smoothie of the week, and I will switch up what smoothie I'm making each week. I will pick one thing to have for breakfast each week and get the ingredients for that one thing so that I don't have to worry about it. Next, I will look for recipes for two more dishes, more kind of savory entree meals to prep at the beginning of the week. And I will just alternate eating those for lunch and dinner until I basically run out of food. And that will usually last me Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, I just kind of wing it. So that basically means I only need to look up or go off of 3 recipes per week. And I try to find recipes that use either ingredients that I already have on hand to minimize waste or similar slash like ingredients so that I can use things up without it going to waste. Because when you're cooking for one, it is really hard to be able to get through all of your ingredients. This method may not work for people who are particularly picky about repeating and eating the same things over and over. And I'll also say, I don't always like eating the same stuff over and over as well, but I've just learned how to pick my battles. And while it's not super exciting to eat the same things over and over, I would rather just eat the same things over and over and be fed than stress about what I'm going to eat every day and use the brain space over figuring out what's for dinner every day. Sometimes we just have to pick our battles. And the battle that I choose is to just eat leftovers throughout the week as opposed to stressing myself out over what I'm going to eat each week. But if you are someone who maybe you're just cooking for yourself or one other person, y'all are busy, maybe you don't mind reheating food throughout the week, just looking up the 3 recipes, like the breakfast, the lunch, the dinner, alternating, and just doing that at the beginning of the week has opened up so much mental space for me. It has helped me cut down on food waste. It has helped me kind of streamline my grocery bill and has just been super, super helpful. So, again, sometimes we have to kind of choose our battles, and I choose to just be fed and not really fuss over it. And then, usually on the weekends, that is when I'll eat out more or I'll just kind of wing it, girl dinner it, and start it all over again the following week. Okay, those are the wellness tips. Next, I want to get into the productivity and focus tips. This section is going to be a little bit quicker, but I just wanted to share a few little things that I have learned. So, first, I used to be a diehard Sunday reset person where I would spend all Sunday cleaning my apartment from top to bottom. And it's great because I love having a clean space. Like, that's what I talked about at the top of the episode. And I love just having a fresh space every week. However, I found that I wasn't very efficient about it and it was taking me all day. And it's like, our weekends are precious. We don't have all day to be cleaning every single week. We're basically losing a day out of the week. I wanted to have some Sunday fun days. And so I got inspired by this creator who I follow on TikTok. Her name is Clara. She's kind of like the queen of everything. Um, where she started doing her Sunday resets to clean her apartment in the duration it took to clean her bedding. So I started adopting this and it has helped me be so much more efficient with cleaning my place. I also don't even have a big place. So why it was taking me so long to clean, I don't know. I was just lollygagging, I guess. But basically, I strip my bed on Sunday mornings and I put my bedding in the washing machine. And when I start the washing machine, it is game on. The clock starts. And I aim to have my entire apartment clean by the time my sheets are washed and dried. So I put everything in the washer, I turn on a playlist, and I get to work. And I find that having just that sense of urgency around timing to kind of push me has helped me be a lot more efficient. And my apartment is just as clean as it was when I was taking twice as long to clean it. But I'm just a little bit more efficient with my time. And I think that having that method of, cleaning your whole apartment and the time it takes to wash your sheets, or anything that we can do where we're almost kind of like racing against time or we have a deadline, forces us to put a little more pep in our step. It forces us to be a little bit more efficient with our time, to get moving, to get grooving. And it's something that has helped me be so much more efficient. So I have then applied that to other areas of my life. So let's say I have a bunch of admin tasks where I need to, send some invoices, review some contracts, and get through my inbox. I will set a timer for, let's say, 45 minutes to get through those things, because realistically, it doesn't take me longer than 45 minutes to do those things. But because I was inefficient with how I was spending my time, I would respond to 3 emails and then go on my phone. And then I would read through one contract and then I would go run an errand. And by just grouping like tasks together and setting a specific amount of time or block of time to get something done that I set a timer for and put it on the calendar. I don't do this with Sunday resets, but I will do this with work tasks. I will put it on the calendar, has helped me be so much more efficient with my cleaning, with my work, with my focus, with my tasks. Previously, I was thinking that focus was something that I had to find or something that I had to generate. And I've learned through that trick that focus is something that we already have. We just need to tell it where to go. So setting those parameters of, I need to have this done by the time my sheets are out of the dryer, or I'm going to give myself 30 minutes to finish this task and lock in, or I'm going to set aside this much time on my calendar to do these things. I'm going to lock in. Those things don't necessarily help us generate focus, but with the focus we do have, it tells it where to go. And since I started looking at focus that way, it has been such a game changer with my ability to remain compassionate with myself about the times that I'm able to successfully direct my focus, or to have compassion when I'm unable to direct my focus and maybe I need a break, or maybe I need to move my focus in another direction, or maybe I need to direct it elsewhere. And just that mindset shift alone has been really, really helpful in making me more efficient and effective with my time. And it's not something that I necessarily hear people talk about, is directing their focus where to go. And as I continue practicing doing that and directing my focus where to go in different areas, I can definitely report back on what's working and what isn't. But using those little tricks like the timer trick, the apartment cleaning trick, the scheduling my tasks trick has been really, really helpful, especially during the season of my life where I have almost a little bit too much flexibility at times and need to create more structure for myself. So I hope that is helpful. That is what I have for you for today's solo summer episode. I hope that you enjoyed some of these tips. I hope that maybe they were not the same run of the mill self care tips that you hear every day. If you have your own unique self care tip, I want to hear it. So if you're watching this on YouTube, Leave a comment below letting us know what your little known self-care tip is so that we can just have a community of balanced baddies sharing information with one another. Or if you're more of an audio podcast person like myself, go to our latest post on Instagram and let me know what your kind of lesser known self-care tip is so that you can share with the girlies and so that we can all just have a little thread of great tips to share together. So I'll do a post on my Instagram at Balance Less. You can go to that post, leave a comment letting us know what your lesser known self-care tip is so that we can all share as a community. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. I appreciate how much you all are enjoying solo episode summer. Let me know if you have any other episode requests as I continue bringing you these solo episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your feedback. Make sure you're subscribed to the show on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube. It helps us so much, especially when you're able to subscribe, rate, and review on Apple or Spotify. That is what really helps us reach our goals. That is what counts towards our streams and is what allows me to keep this podcast up and running and to keep it free for you, bringing you new episodes every single Tuesday. So please make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week.